going on, guys? JSGC here, and we are here for another Manchester City preview. This time we're going to be talking about the Burnley match in the FA Cup. Now, Sean Dyche, he's been speaking and he's been saying that Burnley are going to be putting out a weakened team. The match, I think they've got Manchester United coming up next week, and he says that's far more important for them. And so a weakened team's going out against Manchester City. Now, I'd be very surprised if he did that. I imagine that's just a little bit of mind games coming from Sean Dyche going towards Pep Guardiola, because, well, telling him he doesn't know what team to expect, so trying to keep things a little bit fresh and keep him guessing. But they put out a strong side last season in the third round of the FA Cup against Manchester City, which we ended up winning, and so I imagine a similar team would probably go out in this game too. Now, I'm probably expecting to maybe see Wood up front. I'm also possibly might see Vokes too. He didn't play in the last game, so I'm expecting we might see maybe them go with two up top, two stronger, more physical players to try and hold the ball up and try and get Burnley to maybe push up the pitch a little bit more, because as you know, if Burnley is sitting deeper, they're inviting more pressure on them. When you've got as much quality as what Manchester City do, particularly in the attacking third, then it spells danger for them. So imagine they might go with two big men up front, try and hold it up, try and work the ball out wide, and try and get some balls into the box, set piece, long throws, things like that, and try and work the way into the game. Obviously, a good result for Burnley here would be a win. It'd be a great confidence boost for them, but they might be looking to try and take us back to Turf Moor. They know that getting us back to Turf Moor will make it a lot more of a more difficult game. You know that Man City will have their eyes on all kinds of fixtures come the middle of February, so they might be distracted with games against Arsenal, Chelsea, Champions League, Carabao Cup final, for example. They might think Man City don't want this, and that's their best chance of progressing. But what was getting indication from Sean Dyche yesterday was that Burnley don't care that much, but I'd be very surprised if they went in with that attitude. So I'm expecting it to be a very tough game, and I'd expect us to treat it just like any other Premier League game, because we're playing a Premier League side. Now, Burnley sitting 16th in the Premier League, just 2 points clear of the relegation zone. However, they've unbeaten in the last 5 games in all competitions. They've won the last 4 before a 0-0 away draw against Watford in the last game. They've gone from looking quite perilous into being in quite a healthy position that they've got something to work with. And so, like I said, they're under no pressure in this game. They've got nothing to lose in this game. Makes them very dangerous. They're a good side. We saw it last season. They were capable of getting into the Europa League places, so they can cause a lot of problems. So, like I said, we're talking players like Wood. We're talking players like Vokes up front. We might be talking to someone like Ashley Barnes too. I think he scored past us last season in the FA Cup too, and so it makes it quite interesting. I'm just wondering who they're going to go with as their number one. Recently, since I think it's Tom Eaton's come back, he's gone in and slotted in as the number one. I'm not sure if Nick Pope's injured or not at the moment, but Joe Hart was sat on the bench. I wonder if they're going to make a couple of, well, maybe a few changes, that Joe Hart might be one that goes into net. So we might be seeing Joe Hart again, which would be nice to see Joe Hart back at the Etihad Stadium. And so, yeah, proved to be a difficult contest. It'll probably be a very close nip and tuck game where we need to make it about quality. If we can do that, then I'm confident that we can go through. We've got home advantage here. For City, we've got Mendy back. I'm not too sure if he's going to go and start in this game or not. In my personal opinion, I'd probably start him on the bench and then bring him on. I mean, he ended up having 30 minutes in the last game, so we could even start him in this game and take him off early in the second half would be an option. We could also bring him on earlier in the second half and allow him to go from 30 minutes to 40 minutes or something like that. Have a little bit of progress there for Benjamin Mendy. We know Bravo, who's just about starting to return to the Manchester City squad. I'm not too sure if he's resumed full training, but he has started to turn up to training now, so we're starting to see him more, so he could be back in a few weeks. We're also missing Vincent Kompany in this game too. He's got a little knock, but we're expecting to see him again in a couple of weeks or so. But it's Vincent Kompany, a little knock might be something a little bit more serious. So there we go. I'm expecting a rotated squad. I'm expecting a similar team to go out to what went out against Rotherham in the last team, apart from expecting Muric to probably be in net. I'm wondering if we're going to see a couple of the youngsters too. We saw Garcia and Sandler have a good game against Burton. I'm wondering if they might be in and around the squad. I'm wondering with Felix Nmecha coming on in the last game and doing an impressive cameo, that he might be able to earn his way onto the bench and allow us to have a full rest for some of our more senior players. But I'm not too sure. I imagine Pep would be taking this extremely seriously, a lot more seriously than what we took that second leg against Burton, so I'm expecting it probably to be a better game. So it's a difficult team prediction and score prediction to predict, but I'm going to go for a comfortable 2-0 Manchester City win, and hopefully get to the 5th round. That's all that matters, and progress progressing more into the cups. We're still aiming for 4 trophies throughout the season. We're still in for all 4 trophies, so it'd be nice to be able to get to the 5th round and see who we draw and go from there. But I'm not taking Burnley lightly at all. It'd be nice to get a clean sheet too, give Muric a bit more confidence, because I'm expecting to probably see Muric in that cup final against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup. So I'm going to pop up my team prediction now, and I've gone for Muric in goal, which is what I'm expecting. I'm not too sure if we're going to see Walker or Danilo. I would give Walker a full rest. We rested him in the last game. I'd give him a full rest going into next weekend, in my opinion, into the game against Newcastle and going into next weekend too. So I've gone with Danilo at right back. I've gone with Zinchenko at left back. I've gone for Stones and Otamendi in the centre. Delph sitting in front of them. We saw it against Burton, and De Bruyne dropping deeper and Delph pushing further up. I feel like Delph needs a lot more minutes. So does Kevin De Bruyne. So I'd play with both of them, and I'd go with Phil Foden, the same midfield that we went with against Burton. Now, in the first half, I didn't think that midfield looked too bad. It looked like there was lacking game time in the second half, and so the more they play, the more minutes they get under the belt, the better they'll look. Mahrez again, a player that needs more minutes, so I'd go with him. I've gone for Leroy Sané and Gabriel Jesus up front, just purely because I imagine Aguero will be getting a few more games with the upcoming 3 Premier League games against Newcastle away and the 2 home games against Arsenal and Chelsea. So I'd go with Jesus and see what happens, and Leroy Sané didn't play in the last game, so I'd go with Leroy Sané. Leroy Sané, I seem to remember doing extremely well last season against Burnley in the FA Cup, had their number. He was an absolutely brilliant player, so I'd probably go with him. So there we go. That's been my preview for this Burnley game in the FA Cup. It's a Saturday 3 PM GMT kickoff, typical FA Cup match. It's nice to be playing on a Saturday 3 o'clock again. So there we go. That's been the video. Now, unfortunately, instead of doing my normal outro that I normally do, I have to instead bring up some extremely devastating and sad news instead. So I'm ending this video by dedicating this to David Ibbotson and Emiliano Sala. If you're unaware of the situation, Sala was a player that played for FC Nantes over in France. He'd just signed for Cardiff City, and he'd headed back to Nantes from signing for Cardiff City to say his goodbyes to everyone before travelling back over to Cardiff. And during him travelling back over to Cardiff, the plane that he was on went missing over the English Channel, just past the Channel Islands, and since then, this was earlier in the week, no one's heard from the plane, no one's heard from the pilot, David, the player, Emiliano Sala either. And so they've had a search and rescue party out looking for them and looking for the plane to try and solve what's happened. And unfortunately, after the hard work and dedication of all of the staff and people involved, with all the police and everyone looking just off the coast of Guernsey, they've not managed to find anything, and since then the search has been called off. And so it's extremely devastating. It's extremely sad time for everyone involved, so I just wanted to dedicate this video to them, and I just wanted to say that on behalf of me and everyone involved at JSGC, that I'm sending all of my thoughts and condolences to the family and friends of pilot David Ibbotson and also Emiliano Sala, the Argentinian and former FC Nantes and Cardiff City striker, at this incredibly difficult time. And I do want to say a fantastic effort by all those involved in trying to help look for them too. It's an extremely dangerous job, and so all their hard work is much appreciated by everyone here in this incredibly difficult and sad situation.